Okay, so finally, Abrewa Eyipoma ewo kwemu. Amamino can say the controversial LGBT bill, no, it has been passed. But then there's a catch. Those of you who are jubilating, don't jubilate yet, because the president of Ghana has signaled that the bill will come. But said the president of Ghana is going to put his signature to append this bill for it to be effective. No, I'm very sorry. The president has signaled that he is not going to do that. Now, the reasons for the president saying that is very simple. Pacha say we can't decide what people do in their bedroom. Fine. The constitution in a way does not permit us to do these kind of things. Trumu and nesebe supi. But President Pacha say why should we go against it? Now, on one MPs, no, these same members of parliament who are seeking to criminalize these kind of things, most of them too are part of the LGBT community. So how do you explain something you are part of? Fine. We will not pimp it in the face of people. We will not preach it. We will not advertise it. We will not make it mandatory for people to practice. At the same time, too, we shouldn't go after people who feel like they want to do this. Menoka said this bill has passed. Now, there's a video because there are many parts of this particular conversations are Abba. But first of all, I want to put something on the screen. Video Abba trending on social media. Everybody is talking about it. In a way, people are saying, say, you can't. We said this thing in a way it's not really going to end well. So, share the first report here, as you can see on the screens, is coming from a media general sponsors, promoters, and funders of LGBTQ activities will be jailed 3 years minimum and 5 years maximum. So what you are seeing on the screen is basically no more patches. One more or more involved or more in lesbian nema say will sponsor, say will call more events, say will fund all of you know you will be eligible for 5 years in jail. Again, Peace FM Soma Conference, the Parliament approves 3 to 5 years jail term for promoters of LGBTQI. Now recall, this is Parliament, but the president have not signed it and made it official yet. So there's that loophole. In a way, you guys have a little bit of breathing space to rejoice, and as I try to appeal this. But answer an video way of what really went on and how this controversial bill, is causing a whole lot of commotion.
In the clause-by-clause amendments of the bill on the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values, also known as the anti-gay bill in Parliament, the House approved the maximum sentence of 5 years and a minimum of 3 years for persons engaged in the willful promotion of LGBT activities.
Mr. Speaker, it is my contention that given the state of our prisons, a custodial sentence will not lead to a rehabilitation of the offender if he is convicted. Rehabilitation cannot be found there. Therefore, it cannot be an option. Mr. Speaker, if indeed we are promoting Ghanaian family values, then our Ghanaian family values would not have the consequence of those who are in breach being destroyed in society. Mr. Speaker, it could be a son, a nephew, an uncle, an auntie. It could be a bishop's own son. It could be a head of a Catholic church relative. It could be Church of Pentecost elder son. It could be anybody. But Mr. Speaker, it is important to acknowledge the fact that social integration is critical. A person who is involved in such acts, or a person who is involved in promoting such acts, which we all agree that indeed it is not part of our family value system, and we don't want it as a country. But then, what can we do to allow the reintegration of such a person? It shouldn't be a situation where we are going to sentence such a person into long prison.
Establishment of an advocacy or promotion of the activity. That is what Ghanaians are against. Nobody is interested in what you do in your bedroom. And so the punishment for one caught in the act yesterday was agreed to be a minimum of 6 months, maximum of 3 years. However, for anyone acting in a promotion, willful promotion, sponsor or support of the agenda, the punitive measure for that is minimum 3 years, maximum 5 years. Because what we want to do is to stop the promotion that is targeting our children in secondary schools. The setting up of clubs in secondary.
This is exactly what is really going on. Say if you are part in some judge on a after markings or more so finally this bill is coming to light. The first question I want to ask is, are Ghanaians ready for this? Is this really what matters?
You know, it matters somehow.
It matters. Accommodating California, it matters right now.
Kakra.
Okay.
But anyways, I think only can pressure homes to say. Now, so as some George near brig cry and as some George there, LGBTQ minim at the property. Hey, seriously. He has been on the nerve of this LGBTQ plus issue for a very long time. And to say a trans and another damn Kwekufado, a band or say is something that even say it to me the term I bet was is a win for some judge and your mom was supporting.
But you see this particular bill, the Catholic Bishop Association, the Catholic Priest Association, together with even the Pentecostal, any other Christian bodies, they've come out to say they don't support this bill. They are saying that we should pass a bill not to promote it, okay? But we shouldn't criminalize it, putting people in jail. Any biaba, obi so ne obema beda, enye mi business. Obi so ne oba beda, enye business. But the only business is when yembako school aye try say turmu. Into person ne oba beda now yebema person ne bema da. Okay, do it, right. And no dear, do na yen fwaso. Yen chemba ne say in bema no, if you don't understand you and you feel like Nyankopon ambo you can turn yourself into a man. If you're not promoting these kind of things, it is normal. We can leave it hanging for the next generation to figure out what they will do with it. But for us to say we are criminalizing it, we are going too far. And that is why the Christian Association, the Pentecostal Council, say they don't want to be part of this bill. They are saying that this bill should not even go into effectiveness and go into effect in the first place. So based on these things, we are seeing that there will be a lot of people who promoting these kind of acts on social media. I'm talking about Ama Governor, I'm talking about Sister Debbie, I'm talking about One Love Kubolo, and even Shatawale. All these people, Sister Ifiania, they will find, so if you're Donia, they will find themselves in trouble. The big question is, what will happen after this bill? Because the president has clearly told us he's not going to sign anything with his signature to effect this. So, sign any day. I don't know. So, what do you have for us?
Nana, easy, but some best sign any day. So, one because we need to say, I deal with you for a long time. Near the comfort right and comfort freedom. But up until this point, Omubabechi say, I say, the jail term, so I say, a criminal act be ampuanessa. But, anyways, the Yanessa so, Obia obviously a born home buying from Obia on pen would be able to say, Oberborn home buying a free mo, sir, and Obia and Niger wants to be made in one join, even Bible cries and Yankopon, or the Obia pay assuring the other bed them. We are all accountable to whatever we do. Okay. And you can't be stepping on somebody's right just like that. Since in Nippon Felicity are no bigger. I think I second the fact that you be like abolishing promotion. We don't hear about it anything because far back 2013, 2012, 2011. Now if I got LGBTQ as a mere war. When they started talking about it, they promoted the thing to be on, and as LGBT as a me Sodom and Gomorrah, and you go so can't, and it has been underground, but almost at some throw light on it, no. And I'm microphobia we now arguing about Sonia there. So when they stop talking about it and everything, I better go back to a dead floor and ask them. But that's 5 years and thing. We're hoping for the best anyway. Okay.
All right, English video to us.
So we'll now have two brief comments from the floor. The first is Mr. Samuel George, Mr. George is a member of parliament from the country of Ghana. Mr. George.
Thank you very much, and all protocol duly observed. As a natural-born man, a charismatic Christian, a husband of one woman, a father of 3 children, and an elected member of Ghana's parliament, I hold the role of the family extremely sacred. I believe that the right to found a family and determine same is a right that accrues to everyone within the context and spirit of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and several other recognized international treaties like the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. 75 years after the UDHR, the spirit and letter are more poignant than at any other time in our history. At a time in our world where supposedly progressive forces are agitating for a redefinition of the core principles of what a family is and represent in a somewhat regressive manner, the genuinely progressive voices, like those in this room, must rise in defense of family, its values and protections. The concept of the natural family is under attack, and a siege is being attempted on the spirit of the Declaration of Human Rights. Let me be clear here and now, sirs and ma'ams. There is a distinct difference between sex and gender or gender identity. The pseudo-war being waged by some against the family is premised on this obfuscation and literal obliteration of the distinction between sex and gender. Sex is a biological construct that transcends race, ethnicity, religion, and jurisdictional jurisprudence. Sex is binary. You're either male or female. God determines this at the moment of conception. A fetus carries either the XX or XY chromosome, determining whether it is born female or male. From my beloved Ningo Prampram constituency in Accra, Ghana, to New York, and Rio de Janeiro to Madrid or Delhi to Perth, the interpretation of XY and XX is constant. Gender or gender identity, on the other hand, is a social construct that has evolved on the peculiarities of various societies. From the onset matching the binary nature of sex, we see different recognitions of gender today across the world. There is no universality in the concept of gender or gender identity, and it is highly fluid. And as such, gender or gender identity cannot form the basis for any rights accruing in a covenant, a convention, or international treaty which seeks to be globally acceptable and binding because we have different interpretations. This is the basis for my avowed position that the letter and spirit of the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights is apt and meets the needs of our global world today. It emphasizes in Article 2 the rights and freedoms in the declaration, and is clear that there shall be no distinctions made